Congratulations! If you are watching this, that means that you have already completed your literature review and developed a research question based on the literature that you explored. So now it's time for you to actually put together a research plan and pitch it to a mock committee via a research proposal, which is a paper that usually a group of academics read and either approve, send back with revisions, or disapprove for your research. What's the research proposal for? The research proposal is the first step in producing a thesis or major project. So its intent is to convince a supervisor or an academic committee or panel that your topic and approach are sound so that you gain approval to proceed with the actual research. Now, both of these aspects, topic and approach, are really important, which is why conducting your literature review first is a critical step before you actually put together your research proposal. So the other component of what the research proposal is for is that it's also used for indicating your plan of action, and an academic proposal should show your theoretical positioning and your relationship to past work in this area. Specifically, what have you done to explore the concept that you are hoping to dive into with your research? All right, so a good research proposal should make you think about your experiments. It should be an outline of steps in your proposed research. It should provide intellectual context of your research. So that's, again, tying back to that literature review, and justification for your research. And then you should also anticipate a realistic timeline. Try to make it creative. Make sure you're thinking about potential problems that could arise and that you acknowledge those potential problems to show your committee that you've thought about this in advance. And then the last thing that you see on here is that you use parts of your research proposal in your final paper. However, in this lab, I'm not going to actually have you write a final paper. We're just going to say your proposal is enough for you in order to get started on your research. And then at the end of the semester, once you have all your data, you're just going to give a formal presentation, okay? Moving on, back to talking about our proposal, what are the essential ingredients of a proposal? Well, an academic proposal is expected to contain at least these 3 elements. First is a rationale for the choice of topic, showing why it is important or useful within the concerns of the discipline. So for you all, that would be looking at how your research is important or useful within the discipline of studying animal cognition. It is sensible also to indicate the limitations of your aims. Don't promise what you can't possibly deliver, all right? Transparency is key because it shows that you fully thought out your idea. The second element is a review of existing published work, aka the literature, that relates to the topic. Here, you need to tell how your proposed work will build on existing studies and yet explore new territory, all right? So see those little tidbits I have on the literature review for more tips and tricks there. And then third, an outline of your intended approach or methodology with comparisons to existing published work, perhaps including costs, resources needed, and a timeline of when you hope to get things done. Now, who is the audience for your proposal? How will that affect the content? Remember, your audience can't read your mind, right? When organizing your material, be sure to emphasize the specific focus of your work, your research question. Use headings, lists, and visuals to make reading and cross-referencing easy, right? Remember, these are people that are going to be reading and approving of your proposal. So keeping in mind the humanity behind it, you want to make sure that it's really easy for them to find the information they need. So make sure you also employ a concrete and precise style to show how you have chosen a feasible idea and can put it into action. Here are some general tips and tricks. Start with why your idea is worth doing, its contribution to the field. Then fill in how, meaning the technicalities about topic and your method. Give enough detail to establish feasibility, but not so much as to bore the reader, all right? At this point, we want it to be reproducible, but still engaging. Show your ability to deal with possible problems or changes in focus. This is really important because this shows that you thought critically about your project ahead of time. Identify as many problems as could arise and show them that you've thought about these problems and you've also developed possible solutions to these problems. Show confidence and eagerness. Use I and active verbs, concise style, and positive phrasing. Avoid the passive voice for sure. Now let's go into some general proposal guidelines. All sections in your proposal, except the title, should be identified with corresponding headers that stand out from the rest of the text. The 4 main headers, again, aside from like your title, are your specific aims, your background and significance, your research design and methods, and then finally your references. So let's start at the very top. Obviously, at the top of your paper should be your title, and you should think of your title as a mini abstract, all right? So paint a quick picture of the key ideas. The title should be clear, unambiguous, and tragically, not cute, okay? The words should reflect the focus of your proposal. Put the most important words first. Again, remember, these are people reading this, so make it as easy for them as possible. Here's a really good example that I like to use. Look at these 2 titles, right? Title number 1, red-haired musicians and their preference for music style. Title number 2 says music style preference of red-haired musicians. The project with title number 1 appears to be focused on red-haired musicians. The project with title number 2 appears to be mainly focused on musical style preferences. See the difference? All right. Next, we have specific aims. Specific aims are the statements of what you hope to accomplish. Next, we have background and significance. This is the literature review. This is what you've been working on, right? So use this section to show how your project extends previous work, meaning it bridges gaps, avoids previous mistakes or errors that you found in other research projects, and is somehow unique because it does not follow the exact same path as previously followed, or again, is bridging gaps that were not addressed previously. So it is here that you should briefly summarize what we know so far about your topic. Then you state what we need to know next, and you can frame this as a question if you like, right? And then explain why we don't know it yet. Often this is a methodological issue, but not always, right? And then describe how you intend to find the answer, all right? So big 4, summarize, state, explain, describe, okay? Now keep in mind, even though you've already written your literature review, you now need to contextualize it within your research proposal. So make sure that there is cohesive flow from one section in your proposal to the next. I recommend maybe making minor edits between what you have for your literature review now and what you intend to use in your research proposal to make sure there is that cohesive flow, okay? But largely it should be very similar. Next, we have research design and methods. For this, and for all scientific papers, you want to make sure that you are clear, succinct, and specific, such that a novice could carry out your design with ease. But you want to make sure that you're not overly verbose, right? Being repetitive is not helpful. Be sure to mention innovative aspects of your ideas as well. These are things to highlight because, again, it encourages that your proposal will get pushed through if they can see the value in it. And then here I have a little proposal checklist for you all. All right, so your proposal should include each of these elements that I have listed here. And then below that, I have another brief checklist that looks at the overall aesthetic of your proposal. All right, so this top part here, this is what you should have as like your concrete aspects within your proposal. This helps you actually write the proposal. And then looking at the overall aesthetic of your proposal, I recommend using this checklist here below after you've already done everything up top. Does that make sense? All right, well, I think that's all the main points. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out anytime, and best of luck.